So here's Chamomile and her two remaining babies. I sold the little Nubian one because we haven't been getting any milk out of her. She's been completely drained every time I check on her. So we have now separated the babies. I put them in a really big wire dog crate at night inside the barn. Right, I mean in her pen, so they're right there with their mom, but I do separate them at night. They're a week old, so she doesn't have colostrum anymore. And this morning she did pretty good. She has a spot on her that makes me think that maybe she has a partially blown out teat, which doesn't make me real happy. I'm considering just selling all of the babies because I value the milk more than I value the 3 months it's going to take for them to get very big. Because you can see how big the lambs are now. They're only 2 weeks old, and they're big. They're really big. And the babies, the little goat babies, they're actually pretty good sized. And in another week they might be a little bigger, but they won't grow as fast as the lambs will because they're from dairy stock. And so this is a really fun place for them to play, lots to nibble on and lots to climb on and fun things like that. As they get older, they're going to start testing fences, and babies are the worst at testing fences. So, and I won't put them on leashes, on tethers like I do the moms, because they can strangle themselves. And they're babies. They're meant to play. So, in the end, I probably will just sell them, and just so I can just milk Chamomile and have done and have the milk that we need. Once we have her milk, I will also start making butter. Right now I'm making 2 pounds of cheese every 2 days. So that's a gallon of milk per pound of cheese. So I'm making about 6 pounds of cheese a week. And so that still leaves us plenty of milk to drink, but it doesn't leave us any milk for butter, because in order to make butter, I need at least a gallon of milk to put through the cream separator to make it worthwhile. Because out of that gallon of milk, I'll get 1 quart of cream. So by having Chamomile milking twice a day, that should give us that extra gallon to turn into butter. And it should be pretty exciting. She has easy teats, nice and soft, big orifices, but it does feel like she has kind of that blown out teat a little bit. I need to go do some research on it. But everybody's happy. This twig pile is what we got from our neighbors from the willow tree, and they really are just using it as hay. They climb on it, they eat it, they play with it, and it just gives them some variety, and it keeps them from being so hungry for twigs that they will fight to get into my living fence. Here, it's just available. It's still green. The branches don't know that they're dead. They're still trying to leaf out. And so the goats can come here to get their twigs to eat it, rather than feeling like they need to go over to my living fence and raid it, or go and strip. Like here on the ditch bank, I've got actual living little trees that haven't been killed or even nibbled on by my goats, because my goats have that huge pile of willows to eat, and the willows are pretty tender, so it's just what they want. And I do have Jumper on the tether now, just because she keeps going over by the hay pile, and even though she can't get to it, she kind of messes with it, and if the wind's blowing really hard, she can get her head under the tarp. So I've got her on a tether now so that she can't get into the hay, and so she's not pooping over by the milk stanchions. And I've got Goaty over there because he just gets in my way when I'm trying to milk, and I just need him to be out of my way, and he's already tipped over his water, darn him. When I water out in the pasture, I use those flat tubs. Where is one? I don't know if you can see it out there. It's one of those black rubberized canvas tubs. Because they're flat, they can't dump them over. The hard part is when I have my ducks out here, my ducks will bathe in them, so that, yeah, the chickens will keep the water clean, but the ducks will make it filthy. And then the animals won't drink out of it, no matter how hot it gets. If they've had ducks fouling it, they won't touch it. So usually I keep my ducks either in the front away from the other animals, or in the backyard, because they don't kick up the mulch. They just dip their little beaks in it and make tiny little holes, but they don't stir any of it up, so my mulch stays intact. And I'm thinking about getting khaki Campbell ducks because my chickens are driving me a little crazy right now. I had to separate them. I've got a flock back here that's larger, and then I've got a flock up in the front pasture that has a Banty rooster, and the Banty rooster's flock is very well behaved. The flock in the back, we had to get 2 roosters so they had each other to compete with because my original rooster was not breeding. So I've got 2 roosters back here, and I've had to teach my daughters that if the rooster tries to approach them, they have to pick up a long stick and not chase, but walk him around the pasture to teach him that they are superior to him, because they're not aggressive roosters unless you teach them that you run. And so if the roosters try to chest bump him or anything, I tell him, I'm sorry he got you, but you get back out there with that stick or else he'll get you worse next time. So our chickens, or our roosters, have learned to avoid me because I've taken them for several long walks around the pasture, following them with a stick to teach them that I'm head rooster. Now that we have some more green, it's not so bad with the chickens, though. Their eggs have all hardened up because they've got more roughage and just more variety in their diet. And yeah, they're laying super good. I've got 2 or 3 dozen eggs a week to take to my mom, and a couple quarts of milk a week to take to my mom from the goats. So I feel pretty rich right now. It's a pretty good feeling to have enough left over to give to people you care about, who you know value your food. And right now I'm not feeding hay to the animals, and I'm not giving feed to the chickens. They're just 100% free range right now. The ducks I am feeding because she's sitting on her nest, and she was supposed to hatch out yesterday. I would imagine that she has 1 or 2 babies under her, and she is just, it's been pretty cold the last couple of days, so she's kind of protecting them by just staying on the nest. I've got food and water in there half a foot away from her, and because she trusts me, she actually doesn't care if I come in and am that close to her. If it was one of my kids, she'd probably care. What else? I need to clean out, I need to put some more straw down in their shelter. It needs another layer of straw, and then here in a little bit I'm going to start taking it out and putting it around the trees, and it'll probably go up in the front pasture just because my little Banty rooster hens are much more well-mannered. They don't dig things up quite so bad. But all in all, I'm pretty proud of how it's going. It's looking really good. The grass is starting to come up. We're starting to look less deserty, and the water will be in the canal probably next week. And last year we did not start flood irrigating until until the end of July, because that was when our well went dry. And so the whole front area I had been using hoses on, and it was taking a lot of water. And so when we finally got the ditch pump and the what's it called, the discharge hoses, the blue discharge hoses to get up to the front pasture, a lot of the trees had already died because I just couldn't get enough water to them. But this year, if we start early, I think we can water every other week. Instead of watering every week, I think we can get it flooded good enough and have enough mulch on it that we can water every other week, which would be really nice, because once the heat of summer gets here, I don't want to be out there every week. Or if I have to be out there, I don't want to be in the front and the back watering every week, because when we water the front and the back flooding, it takes about 7 hours, and you can't see real good at night to irrigate at night, and so you have to do it in the heat of the day, and it's just miserable. And that seems to be when I always get stung by yellow jackets, because I'm messing with tarps to set up canvas dams and stuff like that. So we're kind of excited. We feel like we're kind of on ahead of the ball this year. And I'm also kind of thinking that I'm going to graze some of my animals up on the canal bank, because our neighbor's horses, he didn't keep his horses out of our property, and they have a tendency to kill our grass, but they haven't been there this spring, so we have a little bit of grass up there, and I'm not going to graze them there for very long because it's a canal bank. I don't want to disturb the foliage that much, but it would just be one more spot to spot graze. And anyway, I'm kind of excited. I don't know if we want to keep as many goats as we have right now, because we have the 2 first yearlings. So we have Athena and Joby, both of which are excellent milkers. I'm getting just shy of a gallon a day, just shy of a gallon a day from them. their first year, and they're both easy to milk. And then I have these two. Cloud is due June 15th. So same day as our frost-free day. That's when we have our first go ahead and plant your garden day. And then there's Chamomile. And Cloud's mom gives 3 gallons a day. But her mom has really tight orifices. And so the reason we have Cloud right now and haven't sold her is because we want to see if she's all that in a bag of chips like her previous owner said that she was. Chamomile is supposed to be a gallon per milking. And I think she gave me about a little over a quart this morning. But again, usually they don't really come into their milk for 3 weeks, even up to a month. They don't really come into their milk until then. Before that, it's kind of sparse, which I think is a good idea, because that's how you lose milk cows, is when they have those big old bags and they suddenly come into milk, they get a calcium deficiency. It just pulls everything right out of their bones. And cows historically didn't have that problem because they didn't give very much milk. They gave less than my goats do. You know, most cows that are not dairy cows give what a goat will. They'll give like maybe 2 quarts in the morning and 2 quarts at night. But dairy cows, when they come in and they're given 7, 8, 9 gallons a day right from the get-go, the calf can't keep up with it. But the calf doesn't need that much milk. So if you go out and milk that cow and you don't give her calcium, if she can't get enough calcium, she'll get milk fever and she'll just die, and it's a huge loss. So with the goats, I'm really grateful that it takes them about a month to get up to production. It lets them recover from the birth. The babies don't need that much milk. It lets the babies get adjusted to being alive and moving around and having enough milk. It lets her teats get accustomed to being nursed. You know, everything gets to kind of wind up naturally, rather than boom all at once. It lets the mama kind of bounce back. So isn't this fun to watch them just kind of play on the wood? It's really gratifying for me because they like something to play on. They don't like just flat. They want it helps keep their hooves shorter. It just makes them happier. So anyway, that's where we're standing right now. I went and got a big load of wood bark mixed with horse manure that I'm using as the base for the garden beds. And that's kind of where we sit right now. I have a friend I'm going out to on Saturday, or is it Friday? I don't remember. I'm going out with some friends to a lady that has a vineyard and blackberries and everything, all the fruit. She's got like 2 acres of fruit trees and bushes that need to be thinned out, and so we're going to go get some of them on Saturday, and I'll make sure to take a video then. And that's what we'll be doing, is we're pretty much putting in things like brambles right now, brambles and vines. I've got my regular fruit trees pretty much planted, so that's where we stand, and we will try to keep you posted. I haven't been making videos because I've been doing chores for a friend, and it's kind of worn me out a bit, so we'll pick back up and be doing other things, and especially if the wind doesn't kick up. When the wind kicks up, it's really hard to do videos, and it's hard to really even want to leave the house. So anyway, there we go.